welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I am here alone today because I have been abandoned by Jeff for like 2 weeks. He decided he had to go on a work trip, so that was kind of rude. So I'm just chilling. So there's going to be a lot of solo Jamie videos for probably like the next 2 weeks because Jeff isn't here. And so I've got a list of things that I want to do. And for today's video, I thought I could do a video about board games for different moods. I don't know about all of you, but I believe Jeff, we are both mood gamers. And what I mean by that is if I am feeling lazy, I might want to play a different kind of game than when I'm feeling like, oh, I really want to dig into something. So I have a list of different moods, and it's not like when you're happy, when you're angry, when you're sad. Honestly, I don't know that there is a perfect game to play when you're feeling sad or full of rage or whatever. You should probably try to do something to calm the rage. So I have a list of games to go with a bunch of different gaming moods. And that's what I'm here today to do. So without further ado, I say we freaking get into it. I have 4 games for each category. The first category is probably one of my favorite categories, and that is when you are feeling chill. You're feeling cozy. That's the mood you're in. I just want to play something cozy. I want to be chill. I don't want to have to think too much. I just want to sit down and play something that's kind of relaxing. Okay, so that's the first category, chill and cozy. So the 4 games that I have to recommend if you are feeling in this mood are Patchwork. Patchwork is the first one. I think Patchwork, if you are 2 players, is one of the ultimate cozy games. It still has a little element of competition, but ultimately, besides stealing other people's patches, you're just kind of working on your own little puzzle. So for anyone that doesn't know, Patchwork is a polyomino tile placement game where all of the patches are kind of put into a circle, and you get to select those patches and put them into your own little player board, trying to build out a quilt. I'm sorry, what's cozier than a quilt? I don't know. Beats me. And you're doing that to try and score as many points as possible by getting lots and lots of buttons, which is very cute. This is a classic game, and I think it fits perfectly for this kind of mood. The second game on the list is a newer game, and that is called Hootan, and this is from the OP. So if you've played Aqua Biodiversity something, it's a long title, but Aqua, which came out from the OP last year. This is like a rainforest style game that's kind of maybe in the same line as that one, but it's very chill. So in Hootan, what you're doing is, once again, you've got your own personal little map that you are going to be building stuff out on. You are going to be drafting different tiles that have flowers on them, and there's a bunch of different colors of flowers. There's like red and purple and yellow and white. And you are trying to fill up different sections of your board with these flowers, trying to get all the same color flowers in the same section so that you can then put out different animals with a goal of scoring points. And you're also going to be putting trees out and everything. Another one very similar to Patchwork where you're not really messing with each other. You're just kind of working in your own little puzzle. And the only thing that you're doing to the other person is perhaps taking a tile that they want or taking the flowers that they want. It's very chill, it's relaxy-taxy, and I think it's great for this category. The next one, in my opinion, is probably one of the ultimate cozy games for chill mood, and that's Dwarf Romantic. And Dwarf Romantic, this could be the original, or it could be Sakura, the newer one that's really pretty in pink. But in this, you are just placing out tiles. You're building out a town, a city, or whatever by placing out different tiles and attaching them to each other in order to complete areas and to complete challenges. So maybe this one area, in order to score the points, needs like 6 tiles that have railroad track or whatever. But there's no really big thinking in this game. You're just kind of like, here's the tile. I'm going to put it right here. And if you score a ton of points, that's great. And if you don't score a ton of points, that's great. You could just play to play, or you can play to kind of go on the journey of the campaign itself. I just think it's like, it's so chill, and you can play it solo, and I think it's a great cozy solo game. And the final one that I picked for this category is actually going to be a game called Wild Gardens, and this is from Rose Gauntlet, and just the vibes alone of this game are so cozy. Basically, you are moving around a board that is like a map of a trail around a garden, and you are going to be collecting different ingredients in order to make different recipes, and then in order to serve those recipes. This does not have like a massive rule set, and it's quite like, the vibe is very chill. You're just kind of moving around, you're getting your stuff, and once again, the only real interaction with the other player is perhaps you're taking recipe cards or people cards that they want. I think it's great. I think it's such a nice, like I said, the vibe alone of just looking at it. It's another one that you can play solo, and it has kind of like a solo campaign. I haven't done that myself yet, but I am really excited to. But yeah, this is just a very chill, sweet, cute, lovely recipe game. And I think if you're just kind of feeling chill and you want to set it up and kind of do your thing, I think this could be a great one for that. Now we're going to go from chill and cozy to chaotic. If you are feeling a little bit chaotic, you got that chaotic energy in you. Jeff and I feel this way often. Like, something that is a classic, like Jeff and Jamie ism, is we'll wake up one day and we'll just be like, I want to fight you today. Like, that is a vibe that lives in our house rent-free, basically. So if you're kind of feeling like that chaotic energy, here's some of the games that I would recommend. The first one is Bomb Busters. And Bomb Busters is a cooperative, real-time puzzle situation where you're trying to defuse a bomb by essentially getting numbers and wires from other people to match with what you have while not tripping the wire that could make the bomb go off. And you're trying to do all of this with very limited communication. So you're going to essentially have numbers in front of you. And those numbers you're going to have going from like your lowest number to your highest number. And then you're going to see what you have, and you're going to ask somebody like, hey, do you have a 3? And then they'll show you the 3. And if you also have a 3, then you can match them up. And then you can say that that wire is done and it's safe. And you're continuing to do that unless something blows up or you complete it. And this is another campaign where you are kind of like going through many stages. And it is chaotic because like there's that element of like, oh my God, I have the trip wire and someone's going to ask me for it, and things can explode and it can get crazy and fun. This is a great game. The next one I would recommend for this is Colt Express. Colt Express is one of our classic favorites. We love this game. It is a 3D train. Amazing. So basically in Colt Express, this is a programming game, and you're going to be planning out your turn by playing cards from your hand, either face up or face down, depending on what the round is asking for. Then you are going to be resolving those cards without knowing what everybody else has done. It's extreme chaos. So basically you're on the train and you're like, I want to punch this person. If there's somebody there, you can punch them, and that pushes them into another train cart. Well, then their card comes up and they also wanted to punch somebody, but now they can't because they're in a cart with nobody else. You're jumping up and down, you're stealing loot, and you're stealing diamonds, you're punching, you're shooting, you're doing all of this cowboy stuff on a train that's moving, and there's a little sheriff that's also kind of coming after you. It is probably one of the most chaotic games that I've ever played, but it is insanely fun. I highly recommend it. The next one is Rhino Hero. We love Rhino Hero. It's a game for children. We know that, but we love it. Rhino Hero, you're building out a tower. You're trying not to knock it down, but you're also moving a little Rhino Meeple. And there's certain cards that will come up that will make other people have to then go into the card tower to remove it without knocking it over. You're just trying to build the tower as high as you can without knocking it over. It's chaotic. It's fun. When the tower falls down, it's the best thing ever. And then the last one that I have for this list is actually going to be Final Girl. I think Final Girl is extreme chaotic energy because the whole point of Final Girl is that it plays out like a horror movie. You don't know what's going to happen, and when you think that you're ahead, something's going to happen and everything's going to fall apart, basically. So Final Girl is a solo only game where you play as a final girl trying to kill a killer, and there is a lot of dice rolling, there is card play, there are events that are going to come up, all of the different killers and locations and final girls all work differently. And what I love about it and the chaotic energy of this is in those dice rolls, because if you don't get stars, then who knows what's going to happen. You can die like that, or you can last to the very end. You can have an hour and a half and then suddenly you kill the killer or they kill you. It is chaos, and I love it. Next category is if you're feeling a little bit dramatic or theatrical. Another vibe that is very much so within mine and Jeff's life. So this is like games that really like lean on theme, and they have those dramatic moments. So if you're feeling like playing a really thematic game, these are the games that I would recommend. The first one, and one of my all-time favorites, is Obsession. Obsession is a game about fancy people throwing fancy parties, trying to essentially up their reputation and get more guests to come to their party. They're going to make money, spend money, expand their estate, and do all of this stuff. And it is so thematic. If you actually take time to read the flavor text on the cards, you will know what I mean. But like, what's more thematic than a fancy person in Victorian England throwing a fancy party because they want everybody else to know how great they are? And also, some of the guests that will come are from America, and they're all gossips, and they will lose you victory points, and it's hilarious. The next one on this list is going to be Too Many Bones. Too Many Bones is extremely thematic. You are playing as a band of gearlocks, or a solo gearlock, however many people are playing, and you are going on an adventure. And that adventure and story is going to be told throughout the game as you are pulling cards, reading the story, and then making your choices. It's almost like a choose your own adventure. It's like, hey, do you want to do this battle right now, or do you want to stop and maybe do a skill build or whatever until you finally get to the final boss, and then you have to fight them and you're going through different battles. I think this is a very thematic game, considering the majority of what you're doing is chucking dice and fighting. But if you're looking for that kind of RPG style board game, this is definitely a good one. Then we have the Prodigals Club. And I think the Prodigals Club is a very weirdly themed, but very fun themed thematic game where you are trying to be the worst human possible. You are trying to go to parties and make people hate you. You are trying to run as mayor or whatever the politician thing is, and you're trying to lose votes. You are trying to lose all of your money. You just want to be the worst person possible, and it's thematic in that everything that you do in this game is trying to achieve that goal. Well, I'm actually going to buy this dog or this house or this horse or whatever, and then I'm going to wait and I'm going to sell it for way less. And you're just like trying to like get everything down to nothing. It's fantastic. It's so good. You can also play The Last Will, which is in the same world, a bit of a shorter version, but I think if you're going to go for it, go for it. Do the Prodigals Club. And last but not least on this list, I was between two, but I think I'm going to go with this one, which is Rococo. So Rococo, you are a garment person. You make garments, a sewer, a tailor, whatever. And you are making these beautiful garments for these fancy people so that they can go to a fancy ball. Obviously, I love fancy people games. I myself am not a fancy person, so it's fun to pretend to be one. And that's what you're doing. You're making the garments so that the guests can go to the ball, and they're trying to, once again, like gain prestige and do the fireworks and do all of this stuff while you are trading in things like, you know, silk and thread and needles and stuff to make the nicest garments. Like, you want people to buy your stuff. It's very thematic. It's fantastic. We have the Eagle Griffin version, which is like the big deluxe version. It's freaking beautiful. Like, just the components alone, everything about this game is very thematic, and it's very dramatic because it's Victorian fancy people. There's nothing more dramatic than a Victorian fancy person, in my own personal opinion. The next mood that you could be in is a brain burning mood. I just really want to dig into something. I want to use my brain. I want to solve some puzzles. I want to like just get into something crunchy, basically. So for this, the first one that I picked is actually going to be Crafting the Cosmos. And the reason I picked this is because this game is like optimization extreme. At first glance, you might not think, oh, that's a brain burning game, but it really, really is. So basically, in Crafting the Cosmos, there's two phases. You are going to be moving marbles around in order to collect resources, which are going to be things like stars and nebulas and what are the proto-lives and all of these different things. And you're going to put them in front of you. And the next phase is you put all of those out onto your player board. Once again, in order to optimize and score as many points as possible. You are trying to surround nebulas in order to create life on them. And all of these are going to require different types of stars, and then you can move those stars. So you have to think, okay, well, if I put this here now, it's going to be able to help me flip all three of these, and then later I can move it down here. But if I flip it over to a supernova, then it's going to be wild. And I'm not going to, like, this is what's going through your brain as you're trying to optimize your cosmos. Freaking fantastic. I love this game. I'll talk about it any chance I get, basically. The next one on my list is going to be Civolution. Civolution is a large civilization game. I think many civilization games are very brain burny because there's usually just so much going on. And it's one of those games with Civolution, you have so much that you can do in this game, but you cannot do it all. So are you going to be working on a little bit of the area control? Maybe. Are you going to be working on some of the hunting stuff? I don't know. Maybe. So there's just like a ton of different things for you to think about. And what I love about this game is how the dice work. So basically you are going to be putting together your dice in order to take different actions in order to build up your own personal board that's going to allow you to do more so you can score more points. Well, then you're also focusing on what everybody else has got going on, but you're also focusing on the main board because there is a bit of an area control section there. And you also do need to think of your tribes that you have out because yes, in fact, you do need to feed them and you need to make sure that they don't die off, or maybe you have to think, I'm kind of willing to sacrifice these people. And then the board is expanding because you're going to be developing it more. But sometimes when you develop it, bad things happen, but sometimes really good things happen. Anyways, this is just like, your brain is going to be tired by the time you're finished playing this game, but it will be worth it because it's so good. Of course, on this list, I have to have Hooky. Hooky is one of the best brain burns I've ever had in my life. It's one of my all-time favorite games. This is a deduction game where you are trying to figure out which 3 children are playing hooky from school. Everybody's going to have a hand of kids. There's 26, one for each letter of the alphabet, and you're asking people 5-letter words to figure out what they have in their hand, and also to help you deduce which kids are out and which ones are left that could potentially be playing hooky. This game is Leaps in Logic City. You will be like, oh, well, Jeff definitely has an R. Why did I think that? I don't know. I made a leap in logic. This will make your brain hurt and it will feel so good. Then we have an older game called Powerline. And I think Powerline is a great brain burning game because basically what you're doing is you are going to be building out power lines, but you can only work on so many at a time without kind of like wasting your actions essentially. And you are trying to complete, I think it's like 3 or something power lines before everybody else does. So it's another optimization puzzle basically. With the dice that are coming out, you can only work on certain colors, and then you've got the numbers that you can only put in certain places, and you don't want to waste the dice. And so it's essentially a big puzzle that is going to make your brain melt. And you're kind of looking around, you're like, oh my God, everybody else has built their power line so much better than me. And why did I keep this die? I should have done something different. But it's super fun, very brain burny. And it's one that we discovered at BGG Spring last year. And or BGG Con, I don't remember. The point is we played it like 3 times and we loved it. Okay, next category is, of course, if you're feeling a little bit silly or social. Sometimes we feel social and we want to just get together with a bunch of friends and play some games that don't take themselves too seriously. That's this category. So the first one for this is going to be Medium. I think Medium is such a silly game, and it's a very social game. Like, you could, I guess, play it at 2 players. I don't know why you would want to. Maybe just as like a relationship exercise to see if you're on the same wavelength. But basically in this game, one person's going to play a card down, the next person is going to play another card down, and then you have to try, and at the same time you go like 1, 2, 3, and you try to say a matching word that connects those 2 cards that you've placed down. And that's the game. Okay, and then the next group is going to do it. Whoever has the most points wins. It is hilarious to hear how people think so differently. And then, so after you both say a word, if it's not the same word, then now you have to connect those two words, and you do that like 3 times or whatever. And it's just really funny to hear kind of what people say. It's great. The next one on this list is going to be Tinder Blocks, which is a little dexterity game where you have very slippery tweezers and you are trying to build a fire without knocking it down by placing out different cubes and stuff on top of each other to build out this fire. Sometimes you have to use your opposite hand, which is not easy. And what you have to do is you have to build whatever the diagram says. You have to build that first, then you have to pick it up as a whole and put it on top of the thing without knocking it over. People are not as steady as they think they are. And it is hilarious when things kind of like, you'll see people do like, and they're like shaking, and it's great. It's just complete silly fun. Then of course, I couldn't have this list without Camel Up. Camel Up. Camel Up is one of the funnest and silliest and social games. We played a full player count of this at Level Up. It was awesome. I think it's like 8 players. Basically, this is a game where camels race and you are betting on which camel is going to win. You're betting on which camel is going to lose. You're betting throughout the rounds on which camel is going to end up ahead. But then there's also these 2 other camels, the quasi camels, the black one and the white one, and they're moving in the opposite direction. So you could start betting that you think blue is going to win, but then they hop on one of those quasi camels and they're going the other way. And they're definitely not going to win because they're on a new journey, basically. This is like such a rowdy game, and the more players you have for this game, I honestly think the better. It's so much silly fun. And then, of course, on this list, I also have Monikers. Monikers is one of the most social games ever, I think. So this is essentially 3 rounds. The first round, you are trying to get people to guess a word from a card, a bunch of words from cards, by saying whatever you can to get them to guess the word. Keeping all of those same cards, round 2, you are then going to try to get people to guess those same words in totally random order, but you can only use 1 word. And then the third round is charades, and you're trying to get them to guess those words based on the actions that you're doing without talking. This game is hilarious because I think that there's the most like inside jokes that can come from this game. As an example, when our friends Max and Danielle came to visit from Table Knots, we had Morgan Freeman, and then we had Morgan Freeman as president. And so Morgan Freeman, or Morgan Freeman as president, if you can say as many words as you can to get somebody to guess that, then you're golden. But then the one word becomes more difficult, but then the charades becomes even more difficult. So now we know that if somebody does this, they're Morgan Freeman, and if they do this, they're Morgan Freeman as the president. And that's just something like, that was like 3 years ago, and it still sticks with me. So it's very funny, but you do have to have a group that is okay with being very silly and doing a little bit of charades. Because the more you get into this game, the better. The next category is for when you're feeling a little bit moody or spooky. Everybody knows I love spooky season and moody season. So for this, the first one that I want to suggest is called Scream Park. I played this a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever, and I loved it. Basically what you're doing is you're building out a horror-themed park by like going over different rounds or days and playing out different themes, which are going to then require certain icons. So you're actually like building onto that until you meet all of that theme's kind of requirements so that you can score points. So it might be like you're in a dungeon with a creepy old lady and a clown holding a balloon, and like as you play you're kind of building out this story. It's very dark, it's all in like black and white with just like slight splashes of color, and if you're feeling kind of moody, I think this could be a great game. I really do. The next one is Survive Until Daylight, and this is a zombie themed game that like nobody talks about. Basically, you are trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. It's very difficult. You can play this solo, but it is a co-op game. You are going to be gathering different items and going through different stages, and then based on whatever event, whatever comes up, different types of zombies are going to be coming after you, and you have to try and defend yourself in order to survive over however many rounds it is. I think it's based on the cards that come up until daylight. You're trying to kill the zombies because if you don't, they'll come back the next round. And it's extremely difficult, and it's just, I know people love zombie games and you hear a lot of people talking about Dead of Winter, and of course there's Zombicide and all of these ones, but this is a smaller box and it's a little bit, it's very difficult to win. But it's a bit more chill and it's not as much setup while still getting that kind of like spooky vibe because it's zombies. Then we also have Vagrant Song, and I think Vagrant Song is perfect for that moody, spooky vibe because it's not like outwardly horror, but essentially you're on a ghost train. It is a campaign game that you could play like a one-off here or there if you like, but you are trying to overcome a boss. So it's like a ghost train boss battle game where you are kind of exploring through a train cart, playing through the story, getting items, trying to attack the haunts before you get haunted and you turn into a ghost, which can happen. But you're basically trying to make the haunts be less bad and turn them into good. And it's just like the vibe of this is, if you think of spooky, retro spooky, this is what you're thinking of. And it's super fun and I love it. I think it's so great. And then the last one for this category I picked is going to be Siliconvania, which once again, I don't hear anybody talking about it. We've played it a few times and it's great. It's actually kind of like a betting game. So it's kind of like Silicon Valley. I was like, what is this? Silicon Valley, but it's with vampires. Siliconvania. So you are betting over different areas of, I think it's Siliconvania, Transylvania, with different vampires, and you're kind of building that all up. And it is kind of like a brighter, spooky vampire. It has the art by the Miko, and it's really fun, and I don't think enough people talk about it. You definitely want to have probably around 3 to 4 people to play this. I don't think, Jeff and I played it at 2. We've also played it at 4. We way preferred it at 4, and everybody around the table had a great time. So if you're looking for a different kind of spooky vibe, moody vibe, and you love vampires, this could be a good one to try. The next mood you might be in is ultra competitive, another mood that Jeff and I are very familiar with. So the games that I have picked for this, the first one is Santorini. This is a 2-player only abstract strategy game that is extremely, I think this is like one of the most competitive games ever, because basically what you're doing is you're trying to build up these buildings, you're trying to put caps on them, or you're trying to get to the top of one, and all you're trying to do in this game, besides win, is mess with the other person. That's all. You're trying to block them off, you're trying to screw them over, and I don't know, maybe it's just the way that Jeff and I play, but it's very mean and it's very competitive. Because when you are typically in this game, I find oftentimes you're like neck and neck for winning, and that just makes it even more competitive. So like you're moving your little figure, then you're building. You can move up, you're trying to get to the top of a building before somebody else does, and then they're going to go and throw a cap on it, which is horribly mean. This is a classic, and I think it's great. The next one that I also think is very competitive and also could be because of how we play it, but that is Res Arcana. Res Arcana is a race for points, a race for 10 points or 7 points. I think it's a race for 10 points. Basically what you're doing in this is you are going to be trying to gain resources by triggering your cards. You're going to be playing cards out in order to get these places of power in order to get points. And there are certain things that can happen in this game that you are targeting other players, you're making them lose resources, you're taking stuff from them, you're attacking them, you're doing all of this stuff. But because it is that race for points, that's what makes it so competitive, because you like not just want, you need to be the first person to get all of those points. This used to be a game that we would play like constantly with Michelle and Billy from Second Star to the Left. And it was so competitive, mainly just for Jeff and Billy. Michelle and I were just there to have a good time. We tried our best, but it's a very competitive game. Another one I think is very competitive is Dominant Species. Survival of the fittest, baby. It is what it is. But basically everybody's playing a different species, different kind of animal, whatever it might be. And you are going to be mapping out all of your decisions, all of your actions for the round, and then you're going to be doing those actions. What you're trying to do is dominate. dominate the world, you're trying to build it out, make sure that you have the right resources in order to kind of satisfy what you need. But then the Ice Age is coming, and you're going to start putting stuff out. You're going to start blocking people off. You're going to start wiping them from the board. Very mean, very competitive, because this is literally the survival of the fittest. You want to make sure that you're the one that's coming out on top. And so to do that, you need to mess with everybody else. And it's often a close game. It's very competitive, and I think it's really good. And of course, we have Root. I asked Jeff for, basically Jeff gave me the ultra competitive list, and he's like, Root. And I would say, yeah, because you need to win. You need to defeat everybody else, and it is not a nice game. And I think oftentimes ultra competitive games are very mean games. Root is a very mean game because it does have king making, which is very mean and also very competitive. But if you know that you're not going to win, then maybe you want to try and push somebody else to win, and you're trying to achieve your goals and you're trying to screw other people over. You're fighting with each other. There's so much fighting in this game in order to kind of get to your victory condition, which could potentially be different, I think, depending on which faction you're playing. But if you're feeling a little ultra competitive, I would go with Root. All right, the next category is if you're feeling whimsical. I often feel whimsical. I just want to play something cute. Cute and whimsical. That is what I want to do. These are the games that I reach for. Number 1, Maple Valley. Maple Valley is so cute. It's so whimsical. You're just playing as these little adorable creatures, and you're basically preparing for the festival. You're exploring, you're gathering resources, and you're doing all of these different things. It's adorable. The next game is Cafe Barras. I am just going to go ahead and say pretty much anything from Kids Table Board Gaming, KTBG, could fit into this category, but I think Cafe Barras is very, very whimsical, and it's very creative because basically what you're doing is you're building out your cafe as capybaras, and you are trying to get different furniture and different recipes and ingredients so that you could serve those recipes to create regular customers while building out your cafe with different like furniture and decor and all of this stuff to fulfill different goals to score points. It's so freaking cute. It's very whimsical because what's more whimsical than a cafe where capybaras are serving you? I will wait. Then we have Stamp Swap, and Stamp Swap falls into that more like creative side of the creative and whimsical category because you're going to be collecting different stamps in order to fill out your little stamp map in order to score points. But you can get kind of creative with how you organize those stamps, and based on the goals, that's going to tell you what stamps that you need to get. But you're going to be organizing them in a way that makes sense to score your goals, but also that looks kind of pretty. And I think that it's a really unique game because are there any other games about stamps? I don't know. There's something very like, I don't know what the word is, but like stamp collecting, it's just, it feels whimsical to me. I don't know why. I don't know anybody that collects stamps, so maybe that's why. And then the last one is Things and Rings. And this falls under both creative and whimsical because in this game, it's very like Dr. Seuss-esque, but you've got these 3 rings and you've got these cards if you're the person that's going to be maybe giving clues or whatever, and you are trying to get people to guess where in or what in those rings are the words that you have. And they're putting out different cards, trying to get you to like push yourself to like think beyond what you would regularly think because some of the words don't connect. I'm explaining this horribly, and the reason why is because I find it really hard to explain. It is just such a unique game where you're just essentially trying to get people to guess the words that you have and how they overlap and all of that stuff. Very whimsical though. The next category is quick and punchy. If you don't have a lot of time, you want something quick, you want something simple, but you want something fun. The first game is going to be Duck and Cover. This game, so fun. This is so fun, so punchy, so easy. You have ducks, different themes. Vampire ducks, sure. Cheerleader ducks, why not? Space ducks, go for it. Horror ducks, of course. So you have different and that's your duck. Those are your ducks. You have a grid of all of your cards and they have numbers. A card is then going to flip up and then you need to move that card to cover another card. and you are trying to end with one card, like one pile of cards. That's the whole game. And I don't know why it's so good. I don't know why it's so fun, but it's very quick, very fun, very cute. I highly recommend it. We don't have a copy. I need to get a copy. I want it. The next one will be of no surprise. That is, of course, Nana or Trio, whichever you prefer. It is a set collection game where you're trying to get 3 sets of 3 numbers each in order to win, or you can get the 3 sevens and win instantly, or you can get 2 piles that equal to 7. You're doing this by asking people like, hey, what's your lowest card? And they might be like, it's a 1. And then you can be like, cool, what's your lowest card? And they'll be like, it's a 1. You'll be like, cool. You'll be like, table, what's this card? It's a 1. Boom, you have a set. Okay, very simple, very snappy, and this is our go-to for like a quick game. Then we have No Thanks. No Thanks is a classic. No Thanks is a classic quick game where there's going to be a card out, and you either have to take that card, and all of the cards, whatever their value is, those are the points. Whoever has the least amount of points wins. Or you could say, no thanks, and you could put one of your tokens on it, but the tokens you have are limited. So sometimes you might be forced to take a card because you don't have any tokens. But if you take a card that's full of tokens, then you get those tokens. That's great. And let's just say I pulled a 20. Now I have 20 points. That's no good. But then I pull a 19. Well, because they're consecutive, I'll go with whatever the lower number is. So now I have 19 points. That's basically how it works. It's super fun, super quick. It's a classic. Last but not least for this category, we have Get Bit. I think Get Bit is not loved enough. This is a very quick, very punchy game where there's a little shark and he's trying to chomp off your limbs. You're playing cards and you're going by the order of it's either higher or lowest, and then you're going to be moving your little swimmer, and then whoever's at the back is getting chomped. That's the whole game. It's amazing. The last category is if you need a little alone time. This is for my solo players. These are 4 of my favorite solo games. I already talked about Final Girl, so it will not be in this category. But if you just need a little me time, because sometimes you do, these are a bit more of the chill, just me time kind of games. For Northwood, that's a new favorite. It's a solo trick-taking game where you are trying to win over different fiefs by trying to win exactly the number of tricks that is on that fief. So if it says 7, I have to win exactly 7. You're going to be flipping up cards from a deck. That's the AI player, and then playing cards from your hand. Phenomenal game. Phenomenal. Solo trick-taking. Amazing. The next one is A Gentle Rain. And in this one, you are building out a pond. You are trying to connect like color flowers, blossoms, in order to put out a flower token. And you're just trying to score points, basically. It is meant to be a mindful activity for solo players. I do believe you could play it co-op, but honestly, this is just a game that I want to play by myself. If you need me time, A Gentle Rain is a fantastic game for me time. Then we have Numbsters. Numbsters is a button shy game that I love. I've talked about a billion times. You could play it in your hand, and basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your pile of cards down to 1 plus the 8 card. So it's falling off of the classic riddle joke 7, 8, 9. So lower numbers can eat larger numbers, and they just have to have the 8 in between them, basically. There's more to it, but that's what you're doing. And you can play it so many times in a row, you will never get sick of it. And last but not least, we have Calico. I know Calico is a multiplayer game, but I just love Calico solo. I think if you need a little me time, you can set it up. It's cute cats, you're building with your quilt, you're doing a little puzzling. It's amazing. It's a great game for me time. And so that's what I would recommend. Those are 10 categories for 10 different moods and 4 games for each of those moods. That was a lot of games. I would love to know in the comments below, what would you recommend for any of these different moods or categories? I would love to know, because maybe I didn't think of it, or maybe it's something that I might like to try when I'm in one of those moods. You know, I do get into moods. That is true. But that is everything that I have for you all today. So if you're interested in buying board games like any of the many, and there were many, that I mentioned today, you should first start by checking with your friendly local gaming store, and for us, that's the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon, and now I say goodbye, goodbye! I need you, computer. You can't see it. I love that. All right, I talk too much. I talk and I talk so much. I need another drink. Eat.